Hello, Adam.
Hello.
There was some type of mistake because now we're mountain time. It looks like LinkedIn was thinking about there was like 10 a.m. Central Time, and Central Time is already 10:23.
Are we doing this now or in half an hour?
No, in half an hour. You have it on your 12 Eastern Time, right? Just want to be sure. I'm sorry. I mean, it's everything just changed, like my calendar and then the streaming and the LinkedIn.
Hello.
Oh, can you hear me? Oops.
There's a weird delay.
Yeah. Okay. Give me 1 second. Can you hear me now? Let me check just one thing. Yeah. So
Okay. All right. The problem was LinkedIn was open and this is open. We're doing this in half an hour, right?
yes, it's in half an hour. Yeah. I think I put it live right now. So for the people that just like came 1 hour early, we're so sorry. We have a time zone, and Mexico is not changing time since a couple months ago, and now we're mountain time, so it just makes a mess because I put it on Central Time, and now we're mountain time, and I didn't check that small detail. So yes, Adam, we're doing this in half an hour.
Okay.
So I'm so sorry for the people that just came a little bit early. I'm gonna just to put like small. I'm gonna share my screen with the people, but yes, we're doing this in. There you go. I'm gonna do it like this.
12 p.m. actually.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. Ah, I'm trying to do this like as fast as I can.
It's okay. Well,
Yeah,
we'll joke about it. This is part of our daily lives, right? We make mistakes.
yeah.
We got
That's
to
the
deal with
thing.
this all the time. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm so sorry. The thing is like when you need to do like, you know, um, trying to do things with different time zones, like Pacific time, then Eastern time, then So let me just close this one.
I know. All right. I will come back in
Yes.
20 minutes or 20,
Okay.
probably 5 minutes before, because this seems to be working now, right? Like this is all
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I can see your pot. Let's see, stream. It's working. I can see you. You can hear me. I'm closing
I,
everything else. It'll be perfect.
perfect. Okay. I'm gonna leave it like this.
All right.
So
I'll see you in
yeah.
half an hour.
Perfect. See you in half an hour, Adam. Thank you.
Bye.
So sorry, guys. It was a little bit of our mistake on my side because I was trying to do this with the technology, and let me just put these things. But hold in. It's going to be in the same. Um, it's going to be here in the same link. We're just going to jump in half an hour with Adam. So just stay there, and thanks for your patience. I'm so sorry about it. I'll see you in a couple of minutes. Uh, there you go. I think it's almost set there. Adam is just here in the waiting room. Thanks a lot. We got already 32 people, 33 people join us live. Thanks a lot. So sorry for the small mistake. This is something, technical problems with all the time zones when we try to, work with Mountain Time, Central Time, Eastern Time, and Pacific Time. Sometimes we make a little bit of a mistake, but we are 1 minute, and there you go. The start of the day. What's up, Adam? How's it going, man?
I'm doing well, Pepe. How are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. Sorry about the confusion. In this world with technology, sometimes it it doesn't work as expected sometimes. But we're here, so thanks a lot for joining us again, man.
Or I live in the United States and we just do weird things with time. We move time here.
Yeah, we used to do that until like last year. So like one half of the year we're Mountain Time, and one half of the year we're Central Time, and I schedule it for Central Time, and we moved. So, but that's cool. I'm very thankful for the guys that are joining us very early. We have already 30 people. We got like 80 people registered for this event, so this is going to be awesome. We have a lot to talk about, Adam. Of course, we want to leave like a couple of minutes at the end to talk about CLOC, because I think this is our main goal. We want to talk about like all the benefits that CLOC can bring to all of our members. So this is a public webinar, not just for CLOC members, which is cool. So for the people that are already members of CLOC, I will be really, really grateful if you can, during our chat, and even for the people that are not members, just tell us on the comments, where are you from? We got people from Brazil, from Mexico, from Spain, from a lot of the people from the US. We got a lot of really important people with really important roles in their organization, all about legal operations, and people trying to learn a little bit like from stars like you, Adam. So before we get technical and go into what we're going to be discussing during this webinar, I would like to be a little bit more casual. So you can tell us a little bit more about you. Tell us what's your favorite movie. Maybe top two movies, that would be good, because having like your favorite movie can be like kind of hard to say. Something else, like what type of music do you like? We wanna learn from Adam.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that. And I actually want to learn from you. Like I'm actually much more interested in what you all are doing and want to talk about, but I will follow your lead. I listen to everything. It depends where I'm working, the time
That's
of
good.
day, and anything else. So this is actually kind of interesting. I am in the office today, if you can't tell. I'm usually at home, and I am a person who needs to have music on when I work. And there's work music, and then at like 5 o'clock, I change the music to something else. But I try to keep up with what's happening in pop music. I'll say that.
Cool.
I don't
And
have
give
a
us,
favorite.
yeah,
I don't have a favorite right now, but I'm fascinated by a lot that's going on.
yeah. There's a lot of going on. There's a lot of the new musicians, like very young kids, like 2019, like Billie Eilish. She's like 22, and she got like 2 Oscars already. Like, this is incredible, man. We're living at really different times.
I am truly fascinated by Bad Bunny.
Oh, Bad Bunny, that's huge,
Fascinated by
man.
Bad Bunny.
So shout out for people from Puerto Rico. We have a lot of people probably coming from Puerto Rico. He's a star there. So that's yeah, me too. I really like. He has like really cool swag. And what about two of your favorite movies, like the ones that you have seen like over 20 times?
Oh, it's gonna make me sound terrible.
Oh, come on.
All right. Maybe it's not appropriate. Kill Bill Volume 2, one of my favorite
Oh,
movies of all time. Volume 2.
Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's the end takes place in Mexico, so like I'm sure you've
Oh
seen it
yeah.
100 times too. Um, I like weird stuff. I think, one of my favorite movies that I actually just rewatched, and again, weird, the second Aliens with Sigourney Weaver from like 1980, whatever that was. Or the 90s. That was a great movie.
I watched it like 20 times. I remember when I was a kid, there's like Canal Cinco here in Mexico. They used to play that movie like 100 times a year every Sunday. So I know all the Alien movies like by memory. Love them. So very cool.
Yeah. So those are two of my, older favorites. But I will say this: I did finally watch Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I thought that was perfection.
Awesome. I mean, there's
Yeah.
a lot of really good movies. So really cool. We wanted to learn a little bit more about your Adam in the personal way. But since we only got 55 minutes left, we want to just jump into talking about legal operations. Surprising, right? We're a clock. So Adam, I mean, a lot of people it's know you you being in clock you're a real star, so I'm like really humbled that you accept our invitation. As I told you, I opened the Mexican chapter last year, so we're trying to bring more people. There's a lot of really interest in the in Latin America. There's also a lot of interest. There's one that is opening in Spain. Yeah. So the new founders from Spain, you're gonna listen from them really early, and we want to create this type of content, because even if for the people that are already members of Clock, you already know, like if you go to the community, there's a lot of information. But I think this type of chats are really useful, especially Adam. You're a board member at Clock, so it would be like really cool to learn from your experience. And before we start talking about really cool concept that we discussed last time, that we talked about the legal front door, can you tell us a little bit like your trip in Clock, like how did you started there and how you became a member? I'm really curious about it.
So I think, the way I like to talk about it is, why do I stay involved and why do I give my time to this
Yes.
organization? My role as a board member is to serve the organization. It's not about anything else. I appreciate what you're saying, but I'm here to learn like everybody else. And 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago, I had my first legal ops job, and I was told, to go deal with, we were revamping something, and I had to go figure something out. And I had no idea what this was because I spent most of my life at law firms. And then I found Clock, and I actually went to the first conference that year, and I said, you all talk about things like billing guidelines and how to make them and systems. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know this existed. And quite frankly, that first year, um, the other people in the organization and the organization itself helped me so much that they helped me succeed. And from that point forward, it was a very young organization, still is a very young organization. Whatever I could
Yeah.
do to give back and help and kind of coordinate things was kind of my goal. So like you, I led the New York group for a while, or co-led it with
Yeah.
Farah. And then when Clock started doing committees, I joined the Education Advisory Council. So I get to help select and look at what people want to talk about, what they're educating others on, what they want to speak about, both in conferences and then now webinars and huddles, and kind of what's on people's minds. And
Right.
one of the great things about that is that this is such a great forum for people to practice their speaking, because we're such a friendly audience. Like, we want everybody to succeed, right? Like, you're cheering everybody on, like, go do your thing. And I really like doing that. And then they invited me to interview for the board, which I was very surprised about, because believe it or not, the Cockroach Labs name, it doesn't have like global renown. People don't know where I work. It's kind of
Well, that's a good thing. So you can tell a little bit about it, because I've read a lot about it. It's like it took me a little bit to understand like how it works, because it's very technical. But
Yeah.
I think like right now that everybody's moving from the cloud, like it's very hard. A lot of like very old big law firms, they used to have their own physical servers, but that's changing because cost and maintenance and so on. But it's interesting. So can you give us just like a little bit on what the Cockroach Labs it's all about?
Yeah. Yeah, we make a database, and the first question I always get is, what does the database do? And the database does what every database does, which is
Hmm.
collect and store and use data. But how you do that now and how you collect it is very different than it was 10 years ago, right? When you order, I won't use names. If you order a rideshare car, the amount of data which is now captured in that is just crazy. It's actually crazy, right?
Yeah.
How many times you've ordered before, where, from, to, cost, all the stuff that goes into that. And newer databases are just better equipped to kind of work with that amount of data and the way that people want to utilize it. Cockroach is only 9 years old, and we no longer are a startup, but we're a private company, not even 500 people yet. So it's an interesting phase for me. My history, as you know, is I came from law firms and much
Hmm.
larger companies. So this was an experiment for me to, well, this was the first time I'd ever seen a startup hiring legal operations very, very early. I was the third legal hire. So I came here because I'm like, I don't know what this technology, I don't know anything about databases, and I feel great. Like that's all I can tell you. I don't know anything else. But the opportunity during the pandemic to go to a place where legal ops was a focus very early on, that's what I jumped at. That's why I'm here.
That's very interesting, and I can tell you my experience. I also used to work at big law firms here in Mexico, and my last law firm that I was working was Holland and Knight here in the Mexico City offices. And I've been always a geek. Like, I love to open computers and to do everything. Like, I'm also a gamer. So and then I knew that there, like, I was impressed because a lot of the times when I was working in some of the law firms, I tried to implement like a project management tool because I was like impressed that nobody knew what anybody was working with. Right? It was like I was working with a partner, and he was like, "So what are you doing now?" And I was just like trying to give them like this project management. I think it was Asana, the first one that I tried, and so we
Really?
can put, yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So I was it was Asana. Then I tried like Airtable, and I tried all of them. I tried all of them, but nobody was adopting them. Nobody was using them, even though I was just like giving them so they can know in real time what was people working on. So it was easier for them because a lot of the times, like, we have some calls from the partner. It was like, hey, we got a call from these customers, and I have no idea what this deal it's all about. So just come here, and they mute us, and it's like, what should I say? Right? So in this way, it was like easier to have like all the information there, so they can have access. And maybe it was like kind of project management, knowledge management, and I knew there was an opportunity. I never worked in an in-house team, but when I left Poland, which was my former employer, I started my own consulting firm. So I started talking a lot about e-signatures, because in Latin America, still, like, I will say like green, because people are still like worried about if it's binding or not. If you sign something with your phone, like,
Yeah.
people like to sign things with ink and in paper. And then I started to getting involved with the CLM space. I was working with some companies at the beginning. I was just like you, right? Like, what am I doing? It took me a while to understand a lot of this. I need to get certified in order to do like implementations, and it's been 6 years. I've been learning a lot. And one day, I was at a summit with Agilop, and I met Mike Heaven. And he's like a super cool guy, and we were talking about it, and I was like, "CLOC, I mean, I've never heard about it." And then I just started to make my own, like my own research, and I was like, "Wow, this is so cool! You got everything here."
Let me ask you a question, since you're bringing this up, and I love your story. How many people in this chat today started at law firms? I think that's really interesting because I did. I was at law firms for 15 years. And then you
Yeah.
moved to this other part of the legal ecosystem, and it's a very different way of doing things. Like, I'm surprised you could even bring up Airtable at a law firm. They just don't work with that sort of technology, and their technology is actually very different from our technology, and it's a different. I had to learn a lot when I went in house, that I thought that I knew how things were done, and it's very different at a law firm. And actually, I think law firms have a lot of benefits to working there, but in-house is a totally different experience. But I'm wondering how many people here have that experience. And, I think about it a lot because
Yeah,
I had to
I
learn a
just
lot of new things.
I just shared that on the comments. So for the people that are already working in the legal ops position in your organization, would love to hear your story. I mean, you don't have to bring the whole story. Just like how long you were working at a law firm. That would be interesting because yeah, I mean, it's like a completely different mindset.
Yeah.
It's like when I was working at the big law, I remember that I thought like writing in legal English was like learning English again. And then now with legal ops, it's just like a completely different language. You're run by KPIs. At the beginning, I was like, what the hell is a KPI?
Well,
And,
you sent me a note and you wanted to talk about like agile, and I'm like, when I was at a law firm, we didn't talk about agile. We did the work, right? It was always, this is how you do it. And then when I moved in-house, I had to learn about Six Sigma and Lean and Agile and all these things that I had never heard of before because I worked at a law firm for most of my life. And I learned how to work at a law firm, I think, pretty well. But it's very different outside of a law firm. They operate a certain way.
oh yeah, it's completely different. And the thing that what I tell to a lot of the people, of course, when you work inside an in-house team, you're part, right? You work side by side with the commercial teams, and like you
Yep.
got what's KPIs, you got like SLAs with our procurement, with sales department. But when you're working at a law firm, you gotta learn this. And one of the things that I love the most, and it's actually like one part of the 12 core principles in at CLOC, is like all the part of project management. Because the thing is like it's really hard for if you're thinking about it as a customer for the in-house team, when you work with an external firm, like where are we in this project, right? And you
Mhm.
can find like deliverables. When you work with an agile methodology, like you can divide the whole project into sprints, so your customer knows what are you doing, right? Not just waiting for your hourly billing invoice and that's it, which is
Mhm.
like, now people don't like it. They're looking for more alternative ways on how they can, everybody wants to charge their money, we understand, but I mean, this is a way on how you can make it like more efficient and have your client happy about it, right? And that's a lot that I love about CLOC, the legal operation industry, because it's one of the things that I was really impressed in having here, like in Mexico, because there's a lot of legal associations. There's ones that it's supposed to be like for in-house team, but the thing
Mhm.
is that one of the main requirements is that you gotta be a lawyer to be part of them.
Oh,
And with the legal ops, that's cool because you don't need to be a lawyer for that.
no,
I mean,
definitely
if
not.
like media company, like huge company, like I don't know, Intel, IBM, it's like we don't need a lawyer, we need an engineer who knows
Yeah.
project management, right? And that's cool because now you have a different team. It's like diversity, uh, professional, speaking, and on the backgrounds of the people that works inside your team and how you can make it more efficient. But I'm curious, Adam, like when you started, like on your first legal ops position, and you told us like you didn't know what was all about it. Like, how was that learning curve, and how you managed to do what are you doing right now?
Well, I was very fortunate because I actually ran two offices of my first law firm for a while. So I was doing operations, administrator and whatever you want to call it, a law firm. So I kind of
Yes.
knew how things were supposed to work. Um, and when I went into in-house, which was several years later, um, I could get a lot, like I knew how lawyers work and I know how they generally think. What I didn't
Yes.
understand was how to get things done in a corporate context with other departments. And I didn't
Yes.
realize that, a lot of my job was translating lawyer talk to finance talk or IT talk or corporate development talk. It's a very different sort of
Language.
skill set. Yeah. like working in law firms was very helpful because you kind of know the sense of urgency and you kind of know
Hmm.
how they work with their clients. And then coming to this side, I had to learn a different language in a lot of ways, the corporate language.
Mm. Yeah.
I also I managed a really big team. I went from a law firm to managing all of the paralegals in a very large department and all the admin. So I had to learn a lot about corporate HR, which is very different from law firm HR,
Yeah.
and working with all those teams and really focusing on training and development. But over time, rolling that out to the entire legal department, I wasn't just training paralegals, I was training everybody in the legal department. So
Yeah.
building up and learning how to get things done and then how to present internally, how to speak publicly. Again,
Hmm. Hmm.
my first week at MetLife, they asked me to address 100 people in my organization, and I had never done that before. And I wasn't very good. And then over time, I said, I need to get better at this. And being in house, we present a lot. And again, I went to CLOC. I'm like, teach me how to speak. Give me a chance because I've never really done this before. And I've gotten a little bit better with it. But there's a different skill set in house. And you have to know what you're doing, obviously, but then you have to understand how the company works. You have to understand the priorities. You have to understand what's expected of you just as an employee, not necessarily a legal person. And it takes some time. You have to figure things out pretty quickly, but there's always something new. I
Yeah.
never thought that public speaking would be a requirement for legal office positions. I think it's more important than the JD for sure because we're always training. Well, I mean, we train our departments. You put in a new technology, you're going to have to train people. You're going to have to talk to a group of people who are going to be skeptical and have questions. And it's a really hard skill to learn and become comfortable with.
You got to convince them. So maybe you also need to have some skill sets like sales, because that's how it all works. Like, what are your pain points and how we can solve it, right? It's
Yeah.
like how you can sell an idea that if we do this type of process, it's going to be efficient and more, and we're both going to be benefited, right, from the legal department or the commercial department.
See, I will challenge you, and I would say the talent is finding out what is a pain point. Because if you come into an organization of lawyers and you say, what are your pain points? They're not going to have any pain points, right? They're going to be like, I get this request in, I print it out, I put it in a spreadsheet, I email it to somebody else, and then I work on it, and that makes perfect sense. That's not a
Yeah.
pain point yet, right? They think that makes perfect sense. But when you talk them through and realize, the conversation should be, are there things that get in your way of doing your work? Are there things that slow you down? How do I have that conversation? How do I probe people and actively listen to get them to agree? Maybe this isn't the best way. Maybe there is a better way so we agree it's a pain point, or something that at least can be fixed. Pain points are often like, I hate doing this, so it's a pain point.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in actuality, the things that hold people back are the things they've just become used to over time.
Right. Yeah, I think you gotta tell them, and maybe they never thought about it. I think this is a quote from Henry Ford, I guess, or I'm not sure, but it's like back in the day, like when you ask people what they want, and they will all tell you a faster horse, but they didn't know a car, was going to
Mhm.
be more helpful than a horse. So it's like when you sell that idea and tell them like, okay, so this is another way on seeing things, so you don't have to fill all those spreadsheets that can take hours, and all-nighters like we all did when we were working at the big law firms.
Yeah.
All-nighters were like normal. Like if you go out of the office before 10 p.m., everybody will look at you like
I would say show me, right? So you can tell me how it's better and all that, but show me how it's better. So your small wins are kind of where you can do a lot of good work. So even this morning I got this Slack message saying, hey, I know you're using this to collaborate between these two departments. I saw you present it the other day. Can we do it for these two things now too? So, using our technology to do other collaborations and other things happens because I'm never make anybody do anything, right? It's like, look what we can do. We're doing this over here. Let me know if it interests you. 2 weeks, they're kind of like, well, it interests me now because this other group is doing it. Now I want to do it
Yes.
too. And it will make my life easier. And, again, showing, don't tell.
And we had a webinar a couple of months ago with Jessie Santiago,
Oh, yeah. I used to work with her.
yeah. And this is fun because now we have a comment. Bernardo Ulloa is Bernardo, Legal Ops Manager at MetLife Brazil. Everybody,
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
yeah.
I didn't know they were doing that. That's awesome. Bernardo, talk to me afterwards. I had no idea that was happening.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I've been talking a lot with Reinaldo Ameri. He's the general counsel here in Mexico. He's like very interested in joining CLOC. I'm pretty sure he's going to join like shortly. And during this conversation, the title of that webinar with Jesse was "How do you convince the CFO?" Like thinking about like you're the general counsel. And on the business plan to get a budget for creating a legal ops team. So like, because the people that, I mean, general counsel usually has to send reports, or he reports directly to the CFO a lot of the time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty common. I mean, it's not written in stone, but it's like a common thing. And it was interesting, and I would like to hear like from your experience, like if you were like a general counsel, like, and you'd have a legal ops team, like what would be like a good way to like convince the people, like the person, the CFO who owns the budget, like to give you a budget to create a legal ops team? Like what would be like the main benefits that somebody like a CFO would be willing to listen to?
Well, I can't speak for a general counsel because that's tough, right? Because in order to get budget for it, you're basically saying maybe we're not doing this as well as we could, so I need somebody to help me. Lawyers don't always like to admit that things aren't perfect, but
yes.
But a good general counsel will know her strengths and where things could be better. I think the easiest thing to start with that is always billing. It's always law firm billing and outside counsel and system billing and everything like that, because nobody really has the time to centralize things or even have rate negotiations. I've been in 2 jobs where I walked in and I said like, well, what are we paying? And they're like, what do you mean? And I said, well, what are we paying? Like, what structure do we have? And they say, we just get billed by the hour. And I said, like rack rates? And they said, is there another way? And I said, yeah, there's a lot of other ways, and that alone can save you a ton of money. I mean, I had one job where we delayed a rate increase by 6 months, something like that. It was during the pandemic. And that money alone more than justified my salary, much more, right? So those are pretty easy. And if you talk to other legal ops people who go into organizations that really haven't had it before, and they start with billing and they save a lot of money, I mean, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, right there, that's a huge benefit. And then you kind of look at what else we can do, centralized information. So, I say legal front door. I also say knowledge management. Think about, I did this the other day. Think about the amount of time that a lawyer wastes looking for something. Hey, do you have this template? Yeah, I'll get back to you in 5 minutes. And the lawyer spends 5 minutes to go find the template in their files or somewhere else, and they send it to somebody, and everything's great. And they're like, no big deal. I only do this 3 times a week. Well, that means you spend 15 minutes a week looking for something. You multiply that out by like 50 weeks. Now you're spending like 2 or 3 days of your work life looking for something. And if you can say, well, we can provide that to people so they instantly have it, you save time, there's a return right there. So between the time savings, the money savings, and just the happiness, like if you can get stuff away from a legal team that they don't like, shouldn't be doing, and gets in the way, the return on that is kind of human happiness and people just more into things. So I would say money, time, and happy. Those are your returns.
Yeah, that's awesome, because one of the things that I say is that ROI calculations might be an art, right? Because it's like I mean, there's no like a secret formula. Like, yeah, you have this spreadsheet, put these numbers, and then you get the ROI. I mean, every organization is different, right? But this is like few ways on how you can calculate an amount of money, and time. And that's a way on how you, maybe not the whole ROI, but at least some of it, right? Maybe you're not seeing the whole benefits, but that's a good way on how you can sell that one.
Some of it, I would actually love it if people could teach me more about different ways to calculate ROI. I'm always looking for new ideas. It's not my strength. I know that's not my strength. I love financial management. I love a budget, but I'm not good at the ROI part, and the KPI part I still get. I get caught up. That can be really difficult. Metrics, the best way to use metrics, I'm always looking to this organization actually for new and better ways. I think it's very difficult.
Yeah, it's super difficult. And I love that you touch the concept of legal front door, because this is something that we talked about a little bit on our last time. Like, can you elaborate a little bit on this concept and how it has transformed the organization? Like, if you can talk about maybe Cockroach Labs or any other role, and how can this facilitate like the transformation of the team?
Yeah, legal front door is a very hot topic right now. Everybody wants to legal front door, and I was like, we did this over a year ago, so we're very chic in the legal operations world here. But we didn't do it to be chic. We did it because we needed to. So this is a very early stage company, right? There was a general counsel, one lawyer, me. Now we're doubling in size. Now we have more lawyers. Everything used to be done by email or Slack, and that worked when we had two lawyers doing the work. Didn't work great, but it worked, and they could coordinate saying, I'll take this one, I'll take that one. Fine. I actually waited a year because I said, okay, I can do tech, but let's see what we need. And I didn't think some of the other things were the most important. I wanted to figure out what was really happening. And what was happening was we had more people in legal all of a sudden. We still had one email address. We had more people in the company. 100 people started after me. Now it's 150 people started after me. And even though we were keeping up with things, we were always afraid we were going to lose something in email. It was now unclear who should handle it because everybody was getting it. And the other problem was we didn't really know where our work was coming from. We thought we did. We had some pretty good ideas. And it just became not tenable for the lawyers to work that way anymore. So we used the legal front door as both a way to streamline intake, but also to work within one system that would make life easier. So you could see what you're working on. We're actually very transparent here. So you can see what everybody's working on, actually, how much they're handling. And then all of a sudden we started to know where things were coming from, who our biggest customers were, who our most requested person was. And then working with them to make things better and even easier. I just did a whole switch today with one of our biggest, the person who asks the most of us. And I said, let's just make you your own thing now. Let's make it special for you. But, I will recognize that, again, we are lucky. We are a technology company. We are not an old technology company. We don't have legacy systems. We don't have people who do it because that's the way to do it. There is no way to do it. We change all the time. Everything's changing here. But it also means that people are very comfortable as a company with ticketing systems. And because of that, we put in a front door that wasn't threatening in a way. The problem I had with the front door at other companies is lawyers really want that initial connection from their client internally. And they feel like that somehow solidifies the relationship. And I don't think that's actually true, but people feel that way. We didn't have that barrier here. We knew we needed to get things kind of streamlined and centralized. So we put this in and let's see how it goes. But we didn't just put it in. We spoke to every function and said, hey, we're thinking about doing this. What do you think? And the overwhelming response I got was, yeah, it's time. You need to do it. And I said, okay, great. Will you help me with your department so we can do it the right way? So we sat down with the 6 top functions here and said, we're going to design this for how you work with us. What do you want to do? How simple do you want it to be? Here are the 3 things that we really want. And what that led to was everybody felt like they helped design the legal system, which they really liked. He did that because I told him we should do that. And so now I'm going to use it. They felt like we were all in it together. And quite frankly, we had adoption immediately, which has never happened.
Wow.
Never happened to me before.
I've never seen that before either.
No, I showed our sales team during a training on a Friday morning the basic functionality of how we were using this with sales and what the plans were for integration down the road. And I got off the phone, and half an hour later, somebody submitted their first request and used a functionality I did not show them. They're like, yeah, I know how to use this. I'm going to do this immediately. And I said, well, look at you, overachiever. We're so proud of you. But also I follow, we've had it in place for a year now. 6 months in, I did a follow-up with the key stakeholders. How is this working for you? What do you think about it? Are there things we should change? And we survey our customers. Well, we're doing it once a year now just to see how things are going. Are there things we can make easier? Are you comfortable with how we take in your work right now? And they are, because it gives full transparency into what they've submitted, who's working on it, what the turnaround is, what the issues are. They can see the history. They feel great about it. And I've been really lucky to have, a tech savvy group of people at a tech company who like this sort of stuff.
Yeah, this is awesome because, actually we had another webinar last year with Jen McCarron. I think it was November. And that was really cool because she was showing us some videos that she did. She's an artist. Like, she has a way to talk. Like, she's super cool. And she shows some really cool videos and how she trained her team when she was working with her former employer. And that was really cool because they were videos. So people, they don't read 20 pages manuals. They just don't do it. Right. Nope. So if you can avoid that, then you can just send them 2-3 minutes top long videos, and then just just split the whole course into small portions. It will be way easier to help them, first of all, get trained and to adopt a new type of technology. I think one of the examples was for their entity management. She was working in a huge company, so you get companies all around the world, and you want to know who had the powers of attorney to sign, for the company. And she just created a couple of videos, and then the company was loving it because that's a way on how you can explain. And now that you're working with a really tech savvy company, that's awesome because they just get inside the system and this is easy.
Yeah, well, it's a good point. Obviously Jen has a talent that I don't have, right? She's much more comfortable on video. She can get it across.
Very creative.
We always say meet your customers where they are. And that's a whole different conversation. But if you know that your company, if you're in a film and TV company and they respond to film and TV, utilize what you have. I'm in a tech company. They love new tech. They love something slick. If I can sell it as slick, they're really into it. So, know your company's constituency, and you can get things through a lot quicker. I think where we get stuck is when you try to push something through, which it may be great, right? It might be the thing that they need going forward, but the way that you have to present it varies. Maybe it's working for an insurance company is very different from working for a tech company. But I would also say we all have things that are at our fingertips, which we can use. You don't need a studio. I've done little videos too. We have a thing called Loom here. And, I do 1 minute things that are built into information systems. But the thing that I always remember about any technology and any information, any training, is that most people will use your system when they need something. They're not going to know how to use it otherwise. They're not going to be as excited about it as you are. So you have to want to really make it as easy and user friendly as possible, because they're not going to spend a lot of time
Yes.
clicking around and reading stuff. They're going to it when they need something. And if it's hard to use, they're not going to use it.
Yeah, exactly. I really like one example that one of our guests in the Contract Heroes podcast told us. His name is Chris. He works at the Deloitte, the CLM department at Poland, and that was really cool because there was something that he posted on LinkedIn, and he said that I don't remember what was the title of the post, but it was something like what we should learn from Hollywood, and it was like, so don't wait until the premiere of the movie to promote it, but do it as Hollywood, like promote it before, so you get people excited about it, so they can know what are the benefits. And once you do the rollout and the go live, people are more likely to look forward to get trained because they already know what are like benefits. So that's that. I think that was like super cool. They were like doing like marketing campaigns, like showing them and slides and videos, and that was like super cool because you can have like the perfect implementation. You have a very tech savvy, co-workers, but if they're not excited about this new program, it's going to take longer, right?
One of the clever ways I heard about doing this was the Whisper campaign. And
the
Whisper campaign. So what somebody I really admire said they did is they said, okay, we knew we were going to replace the billing system, right?
Yeah.
And we knew people, they hated the billing system, but they don't want to change, right? That was their organization. So what she did is she just said to a few people, we're looking at new things. What do you think? And so the rumor spread that something was going to happen. And instead of it getting weird, they all got curious and excited about it. So when she would talk to them, they'd be like, hey, we heard that maybe. And she's like, well, I'm working on something. Are you curious? So
good.
She basically created a true rumor that got people excited about it through a Whisper campaign. And I'm like, that's really clever. I like a trailer myself. I like a preview. The Whisper was pretty nifty, but
it is.
I don't know your organization.
That's the mind tricks, Jedi mind tricks.
Yes.
For legal operations. And so, I mean, one of the cool things that you mentioned, Adam, is that, there's a really good ways on how you can start the legal operations. I would say that there's a lot of really, I would say, long hanging fruit, like central repository of your documents. There's a way on, having like this type of legal front doors working together with like intake forms for whatever that is legal related. And I've been thinking, I mean, you don't need to have like the super expensive software for doing that, so you can start for something like maybe what you already have in Teams, right? There's a lot of things that you have, like Power Automator, and you don't need like a very like super expensive implementation for doing that. And this is a cool point because it's like a way on how you can take the first step. However, now that we are I like to say post November 22 times with the generative AI and all of this technology, like, and I'm pretty sure this is something that was talked about a lot during the last CGI event in the CLOC. This is something that we're going to talk about in the last 10 minutes. But like, how are you seeing this? Like, what do you envision like this type of technology is going to affect, of course, in a good way, legal operations? Like, have you experimented? Sorry, I don't know if that was
Yeah.
Spanglish.
I'm not a pro on AI. And where I've come out is we're all learning about AI as AI is learning about us at the same time, right? So it's kind of a mutual thing. What seems really interesting to me is that, post November 22, right? Let's just say the beginning of 23 even, there was Legal Week in New York and AI was coming, everybody freaked out. And then we had CGI 5 months later and everybody was like, AI is amazing, right? So the acceptance of it has happened quicker than anything I've seen before. Yeah. And I think we spent the past year looking for use cases for AI, right? Yes. Where would it work? And how do we and how do we design prompts and all these sorts of things.
Mhm.
And I think that's the right start, but I think AI is going to become another tool in our arsenal of technology and solutions and ideas where we find problems where we can use AI to help them rather than looking for a place to put AI in automatically, right? We're like, oh,
Yes.
AI would, AI is great for pre-execution. Maybe, for some things, yes, but maybe not for everything. I don't know. You're the contract, smarter person than I am. I'm still learning about all that. Maybe it's better for post, or maybe it can help with a little bit with everything. And I think it's going to be part of everything we do. And I think you can tell just by how quickly people have become kind of used to it. Even our law
Mm.
firms are kind of comfortable more than they were 6 months ago. A year from now, it's going to be commonplace to use in everything, and it'll be a component of everything. But I don't think it's going to be what it is now, which is AI can do this. I think it's
Yes.
going to be, well, can we use the AI to help fix this along with a process, along with a training, whatever it may be. And I think it'll be, I think it'll save a lot of, it'll make some of the things that have been really hard before easier. So
Yes.
we've already used it to find efficiency and time savings and all of that. I think we're going to use it to solve really those problems which take up more time and annoyance than they should. Kind of the way that, well, I'm not gonna drop names. Certain computers now just do what they're supposed to do. I think AI will help legal just do what you expect to have done.
Yes.
I don't know what that means yet, and I think it's going to keep changing. But I'm excited that we're entering a phase now of, okay, how can we use it along with something else, as opposed to the standalone idea of what it is.
Right. Yeah. And the sky's the limit. There's a lot of you can do. It's like it's all about imagination and how you use it well. Because I've seen like a lot of discussions, about AI. Like, yeah, it's never going to replace us as a lawyer, and we still like have this human interaction for doing that. And I think that's a very wrong way to approach how you can be benefited by AI. Of course, people like to cite the case of I can't remember what was the name of this guy, but he was like citing cases that didn't exist in the
Oh
court
yeah,
of New York.
the Michigan thing. Yeah, that's going to haunt
That
us.
case that was, I mean, that would be like negligent. That's not a very clever way to use AI and asking ChatGPT without know how to train it. But there's a lot of tools that have been training it well. Of course, you need to be like some kind of expert to know how to train it. But
Yeah,
now it's getting smarter. And myself, I use ChatGPT and Copilot every day.
yeah.
And it's impressive how much work done I can do every day using those tools. I don't like, if I get a client asking me for a legal opinion, I just don't ask ChatGPT and just send it. It can give you like something to start with, because that's like
Yeah.
writer's block when you have like a blank page in Word, and you don't know where to start, and you can be like sitting looking at the screen for hours. This thing can help you a lot to get ideas and how to categorize it. It can extract a lot of data. It's like having a research tool on steroids, because now you can use it for doing like a lot of things. I even use it for my like social media posts, and like giving
Oh,
some ideas for my subject lines in the emails.
so a while ago, before it was today, I mean, there were people developing AI and machine learning sorts of products. And I looked at one that was a litigation based one a few years ago.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
what it did is it basically, I mean, and granted, litigation is different in every country. So, like, this is very
Yes.
US. But what it did is it would say, okay, we got sued. Let's just drop this PDF in, and it would generate a court answer draft.
Yes.
And that was cool, but what was even cooler about it is the way that it works here with litigation is you get sued, you hire your law firm, they review it, they send you to the draft to review, you say okay, they file it. If you can use technology to reverse that flow, right? We got
Yes.
sued, here's our draft response, can you just look it over and file it? you change the flow of work. And if you can do it in-house, it becomes quicker, but also much cheaper. And you're not relying on a firm to do, work that the computer can do right now, obviously, right? And I'm very interested in how AI will reverse the flow of how we utilize our providers.
So I'm going to post a webinar that we had last week with Damian Real. Damian Real is like super active doing AI. He works at Vilex now, and he showed us some examples on how he's doing that with Sally Alliance, which is like a lot of big law firms and Thomson Reuters and LexisNexis and like big tech companies are like sharing information so they can have like smarter knowledge base. And then they're using their platform because they have, he says like the raw material is like the laws and the regulations. And then they train it, they refine it as oil, and then you got your answer. And one way on how you can reverse that flow that you were talking about, Adam, that I thought it was brilliant. It is like you get, the lawsuit, you upload it in the system, and then you can create like arguments in the first draft. And then you turn around with your law firm and say, hey, how much are you going to charge me on the top of what I already given to you?
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to pay you for what I just give to you, right? No. That's something that I did. So just send me your quote on the top of what I gave to you, and that's how much I'm going to pay you. And I thought it was like, oh, wow. That was a good one.
But also it's a win-win because nobody at a law firm likes doing that work. It's not fun. It's boring. And now you can just get rid of it or have it done by a computer and cheaper and quicker. Everybody wins. But I don't know. I think if you're a law firm that goes by volume, maybe not. But I get the, it leads to better, it leads to quicker, cheaper, better, smarter. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and what to say is like a lot of people were saying like, yeah, this is going to take the work of the paralegals, and I'm like, maybe not, because the paralegals, they were born with laptops when they were babies. I mean, not laptops, with iPads, and it's very easier for them to know how it works. They can play Fortnite with an iPad. I have no idea how to do that. And these guys are going to find something way faster than a partner with 40 years of experience. So this is,
I think the takeaway on AI, like, I don't know the answers. I'm not a pro. I'm learning all the time. But yeah, it's going to change things. I don't know what they are yet. Yeah. And we have ideas. And then we work in this like legal operations innovation industry. We're all about, embracing change and change management and making it happen. So we can accept that it's going to change, and we're probably going to love it. We'll find ways to love it. And yes, our jobs will change. There will be things that we don't do anymore, and there'll be new things that come out of it. And that's what it's all about. And it happens all the time. And it doesn't mean anybody's job is going away. I saw a post today that was like, it'll take over, maybe, but there'll be something new, and you'll still have an innovation and efficiency and operational arm of legal, and we'll continue to make it better each year.
Exactly. So people need to be, up to date with the most recent legal trends. And that's one of the things that I love about CLOC, because you have people that have been working on it, they have experience. There was a recent post about people wanting to share their experience using Copilot in their organization. And since we got just 10 more minutes, Adam, I don't want to take that much from your time. We have a very special guest.
Oh my God, who's here?
On our webinar. It's a really special guest. Is my friend Gui Tochi. So Gui, he's the founder of CLOC Brazil. I was really impressed that Gui was like, and the whole team in Brazil, they have like a really cool go live. Mary Carroll was there, and I asked Gui to just join us over because I really wanted to hear like his experience and how we can build this, because we're the only 2 chapters in Latin America. It's just Mexico and Brazil. So we're thinking about like how we can join forces and promote CLOC the best. So Gui, welcome to the webinar.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm super excited to be here. Like, I was learning a lot from the both of you. Pepe, thank you for the invite. Super nice to meet you like in person, Adam. Super
Yeah.
cool. So yeah, I'm Gui. I'm in Brazil. I'm in São Paulo here. We had like a community that for 2 years regarding legal operations, we were very inspired by CLOC.
Hmm.
And then this year we were able like to finally match with CLOC, and now we have like the regional group here. So we are very excited. We have like a lot of engaged people together. Or people are super excited to watch here. I'm receiving like some messages regarding the conversation of you two. So yeah, it's really amazing to be with you.
Well, thank you. I did not expect that, but lovely to see you too. Thank you for joining. Thank you for like getting. But that's how Clock started before I was doing this, and it started because people were kind of like, "Hey, we should just start talking to each other because we all kind of do this." And the hard part about these jobs, and you can tell me if it's true in Brazil, we're often alone or have maybe one person on our team. So when you're at a law firm or even a big company, you can bounce ideas off of other people. Legal ops, it's never a huge team, and you're doing new stuff. So you don't want to bounce ideas off your general counsel because they're looking at you to do the right thing. And having that community is so important because we're often the only one who does it at our company.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really cool, and I'm really glad that he was joining with us because he works with a really high tech company. It's like Gympass. This is like going viral all the time. I think one of 5 guys that I know has Gympass. They're like it's like revolutionizing how people are like doing exercise.
I didn't realize Jim Pass was based in Brazil. It's a thing here too.
Yeah, it's a Brazilian company. I mean, it's around like 11, 12 years, but it's a Brazilian company now. The headquarters are in New York, but yeah, it's. I mean, uh, I use for more time than I am at Gympass, so I can say I love life. It's for wellness. It's for well being. It's amazing, but yeah, it's a very high tech company. Like we started like
Yeah.
on we started offline. It was not an app in the beginning, like to do check-ins into gyms, like for the employees of the companies to use. But now, I mean, for years and years, it's a digital company, and it's super nice. Like, was the first legal operations person here, so I'm glad that I'm not the only one right now, and we are evolving like the market here, but in Brazil. But yeah, it's a Brazilian company.
Is this your first legal operations job?
Yeah, it is. It is my first. I work at like I already worked in law firm. I already worked like in a multinational company in legal tech as legal engineer. But legal ops itself, it's the first, and it's like I've been here like for almost 4 years now, 3.5, something like that. But it's amazing, like all the challenges that we face together, and all the support that I got initially was with the other ops areas in the company, like sales ops, procurement ops, HR ops. So we got like kind of together to make it happen, and I was like inspired by them. So it was great, like to have some benchmarkings like prior to the legal ops.
I if your company is fortunate enough to have other ops people, that is an amazing thing to do. We did it here for a while. It was my first time having peers who actually are helpful. It's so great. I will ask you the one question that we brought up before. You came from a law firm. What's the hardest thing about going in house?
My first experience like was in house. Then I went to a law firm. Then I got
Okay.
to
It was the other way around.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. I mean, if I'm gonna be a lawyer, early stages, but if I'm gonna be a lawyer, I need to be in a law firm. It makes no sense like just to be in house. I need to be to learn in a law firm. And I didn't like very much. I mean, the experience. I like the peers. I like the stuff, but I mean, it was too much technical to me, like on the legal side. So, yeah, I like more the business, not so much the laws itself. So I felt very much connected, like to the in-house position. Then I figured out that there was like legal operations. I mean, some years ago, and then I make the change. So that was like my journey. It was not exactly like first law firm, then in house, but yeah.
I think all of our journeys are so interesting and different. Like none of it. I'm seeing a lot more now about, what is the legal ops career path, and how do you get there? And I'm like, there are so many different ways to make it happen. Some of it's just, you can go for it, right, if you know about it. But some of it's just kind of like, oh, I could do that. We're doing that. I could do that. Let me try that. And we're coming from such different backgrounds now. It's such an interesting. There are so many benefits to the whole industry where we can learn from each other from different backgrounds, and we need to keep having those talks so we keep getting good ideas.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this is exactly why I was thinking about and why I asked you to come here, because this is a good example on how open the CLOC community is. Because I love it. I think I've met, I don't know how many people during the time that I've been involved with CLOC, and it's amazing because you can text anybody. And one of the cool things, like we as Latin America, we always look at the US because there's a lot of innovation going in the Bay Area, New York and all these countries, and it's really helpful. Like for us in Latin America to learn what's like the trending topics, what are people doing there, because it will come to our countries like maybe next year or in 2 years. So it's really cool to have this information in advance, and having people like you, Adam, like it's super open, super cool that we can just like ask you these type of questions. Are you open to share your experience? And with that said, I really, really, really recommend, guys, that I join us to. So I just put some information on the chat, because the CLOC Global Institute is happening in less than 2 months. We're going to be there. You're going to be there. We're going to be there, right?
We're going to be there.
Yeah. So this is going to be super cool. And Adam, we already finished, but we can use like just a couple of minutes. Like you can talk. And what do you think are like the main takeaways? Like why do you think people should attend the Global Institute?
So I'll say, why should you attend this year? I think this year is we do new and better content each year, and I think this year I'm super excited. I want to make it really clear there are like 45 sessions that are being put on by people who submitted ideas, and there are peers, there are other leaders in the industry. There's some of the most interesting topics coming from consultants and everybody, and it was all selected through a hardcore process, and which means people are really putting a lot of time and effort in and really sharing what they're doing. I'm super excited about the skills building that we just announced, which are much smaller venues.
Yes.
So 50-person max to go in to do something. People have been asking for that sort of stuff for a long time. So I'm really keen on it. Don't make fun of it. Those brain date things are awesome. I did it last year and they're great. You can talk with one person or like up to 5 people about things you are currently working on. There's so many good opportunities to learn and then connect and then continue the conversation. And then, if you're lucky, you'll get invited to do a Mexico webinar. I got really lucky. Who knew I'd be invited? And now Brazil's here. But it's, I'm excited about all of the new content and how it's different each year, and the things that have been set up to keep learning, and the inclusivity of the gatherings that are happening. And I think it's going to be great. The ARIA is modern. It'll be totally different.
The ARIA tool is amazing. So cool. Yeah. The last years are amazing, but the ARIA, this is like, it's going to be also super cool.
And I'll be there, and we're going to try new things. We're going to make mistakes. So we're going to talk about what to do different next year. And like, that's what we do. So I'll be there. Talk to me. Tell me what's going well, what we wish we would do. But also, like I said, take advantage of this, because this is where I learned to speak in front of other people. This is where other people taught me about like what legal ops does, how to deal with difficult situations at work. And I'm just so excited to hear what people are going to be. I've seen a lot of what people are going to be presenting, because I'm on the education council still, And I think it's going to be pretty. It's a pretty awesome lineup. So you're going to like it. And I don't know, somebody's doing the Global Perspectives panel. Is it you?
Yeah, it's me.
You're on that, huh?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
doing that. Super excited. It will be amazing. It will be amazing. I'm discussing like with Jen Bryan, with Chris Apple, all the team, like on how it's gonna be. It's amazing.
Yeah, we're going to hear what's happening around the world. So I'm totally excited for that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that you guys, and also the parties are amazing. That's another cool thing, and it's going to be in Vegas. So there's not other place that is cooler like to be there. It's super cool because it's not, of course, what you learn there. It's amazing, but also like who you meet there, and it's like you can learn so much. You can just like ask questions. There's like a lot of after parties. There's a lot of cocktails, so you can like network with people, and everybody's so open. It's just like I've been in these events with a lot of people. You just say hi with everybody. Yeah, I'm the legal ops director at Gap, or I'm the legal director at huge companies, and they're like super cool. You're just having a beer with them, and it's like no better way to meet people.
Everybody is super friendly, and that Wednesday night there is a CLOC sponsored party for everybody. So there won't be 100 cocktail parties. It'll be everybody in one room, another chance to get together. Should take pressure off. But my personal secret is if you want to stay and if you want to have a little bit more fun in Vegas, stay the weekend after. The weekend before can be tough, but I usually stay a few days after with my friends. So it'll be nice and warm. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, well, guys, really, thanks a lot for your time. Adam, Guy, really, thanks a lot for joining these webinars and for the people that are already interested in joining. So tomorrow we finish the early bird tickets for the CLOC in Vegas. So I put the links in the comments so you can check it out. So we can meet there. You can meet Adam. You can meet the whole staff from CLOC and other members around the globe. So this is another cool thing that is not US-based, Mexican or Brazilian based. This is an international network. It makes it like really interesting, like to meet people. And thanks a lot for your time. We hope to have these webinars. I'm going to try to have them every month. Guy and I are thinking about doing one between the Mexican and the Brazilian chapter, the next or in 2 weeks. Yeah, we want to, learn. We want to meet more people and hopefully to spread the gospel all around the world.
Well, thank you for having me, and Guy, lovely to meet you in person. I'll see you in 2 months.
Yeah, see you in 2 months. Thank you very much. Super happy to be here.
And thank you for everybody who joined. You can always contact me if you have any suggestions or want to talk about anything. My email address is simple, adam@cloc.org.
Awesome. All right, guys. Have a really good one.
Thank you.